The CEO had spent 2 years telling the world that AI had replaced 700 of his employees. He'd held press conferences about it. He'd done the Bloomberg interviews. He'd let the headlines write themselves, one AI, doing the work of 700 humans. The future had arrived, and it had arrived at Klarna. Then, in the summer of 2025, days after a $19 billion IPO, Sebastian Siemiatkowski sat down with the same journalists and said something no one in his position had ever said publicly. We went too far. Not in a leaked memo. Not in an internal Slack channel. On the record, with his name on it. The same company that had celebrated firing 700 people was now publicly trying to hire people back. On gig terms. At lower pay. After the stock had already been sold. 700 people, cut. Then begged to return. On different terms. This is what happened in between. Klarna was founded in Stockholm in 2005 by 3 college students with a simple idea: make online shopping easier by letting people pay later. It worked. By 2021, Klarna was valued at $45.6 billion, the most valuable fintech startup in Europe. The company had over 5,500 employees across 45 countries. Sebastian Siemiatkowski, the co-founder who had built the company from a dorm room project, was celebrated as one of the most visionary CEOs in the world. Then 2022 happened. Rising interest rates. Global economic slowdown. Tech valuations collapsing everywhere. Klarna's valuation dropped from $45.6 billion to $6.7 billion in less than a year. An 85% collapse. Overnight. Siemiatkowski had to make painful cuts. In 2022, he let go of approximately 700 employees, about 10% of the company's workforce. It was framed as a response to economic conditions. Necessary. Painful. Temporary. But behind the scenes, something else was happening. Klarna had just signed a partnership with OpenAI. And Siemiatkowski was beginning to believe that artificial intelligence wasn't just a tool, it was a replacement. For nearly everything. AI can already do all of the jobs that we, as humans, do, he told Bloomberg. He meant it. In 2023, Klarna stopped hiring entirely. Not slowing down. Not pausing strategically. Stopped. Completely. The company made a calculated bet: let natural attrition shrink the workforce, and let AI absorb the workload. By the end of 2023, Klarna's headcount had dropped from 5,500 to 3,400. Over 2,000 positions, gone. Not in a single dramatic announcement, but quietly, over months, as employees left and were simply never replaced. The AI assistant, built in partnership with OpenAI, was handling customer service queries, marketing translations, image production, and data analysis. Siemiatkowski proudly called Klarna OpenAI's favorite guinea pig. Then came February 2024, and the announcement that made headlines everywhere. Klarna's AI chatbot had, in its first month alone, handled 2.3 million customer conversations, 2/3 of all incoming queries. Resolution time dropped from 11 minutes to less than 2. Customer satisfaction scores, at least the ones Klarna reported, looked acceptable. The headline was irresistible: one AI doing the work of 700 humans. Siemiatkowski went further. He said the AI was saving the company $10 million. He said it was the future. He even joked that one day, AI would replace his own job too. The tech world applauded. Klarna's story became a case study in business schools. A template for others to follow. Nobody was asking the harder question yet. What were those 2.3 million customers actually experiencing? The complaints started appearing slowly. Then all at once. Customers reported conversations with Klarna's AI that felt circular. Robotic. You'd explain your problem, the bot would respond with a scripted answer that didn't address your specific situation. You'd clarify, it would repeat the same scripted answer, and eventually it would tell you to contact support, which was also the AI. People trapped in loops. Billing disputes that should have taken 5 minutes taking 5 days, bouncing between automated responses with no clear escalation path. One recurring complaint: when customers finally managed to reach a human, they had to repeat everything from scratch. The AI kept no useful context. It just kept the conversation going long enough to close the ticket. Klarna's internal metrics showed resolution rates. They showed average handle time. What they didn't measure as carefully was whether the problem had actually been solved, or whether the customer had simply given up. And customers were giving up. Not just on their support tickets. On Klarna. Think about what that actually means for the people who had been replaced. Former Klarna employees, many of them in customer service, had spent years learning how to handle exactly these situations. They knew the edge cases. They knew when a billing dispute was actually a fraud concern. They knew when someone was about to cancel their account, and what to say to keep them. That institutional knowledge didn't transfer to the AI. It didn't transfer anywhere. It disappeared when the people left. Those 700 people had real lives on the other side of that announcement. Some of them had been at Klarna for years. They had moved cities for the job. Built routines around it. Some found new roles quickly. Others didn't. The job market for customer service specialists was already being squeezed by the same wave of AI adoption that had just taken their positions. Klarna's announcement in February 2024, the one that made headlines everywhere, didn't just celebrate what the AI could do. It signaled to every other company watching, this is the direction. This is how you justify the cuts. Within weeks of that announcement, multiple large companies cited Klarna's AI results in their own earnings calls. The benchmark had been set. And the benchmark didn't measure what happened to the people on the other end, the ones who had been let go, or the ones typing into chat windows hoping to get their money back. Customer satisfaction scores began to slip. Then drop. By early 2025, the numbers were hard to ignore. The CEO who had celebrated AI efficiency was now looking at a different set of metrics, and they told a different story. As cost unfortunately seems to have been a too predominant evaluation factor when organizing this, Siemiatkowski would later tell Bloomberg, what you end up having is lower quality. Lower quality. 3 words from the CEO of a $19 billion company, describing what happens when you replace 700 people with a chatbot and hope no one notices. In March 2025, Klarna filed for a US IPO. The numbers in the prospectus were striking. The company had indeed cut costs dramatically. The AI narrative had helped boost investor confidence. And on July 1, 2025, Klarna went public on the New York Stock Exchange. Shares surged 30% on the first day. The company's valuation hit $19.65 billion, a remarkable recovery from the $6.7 billion low of 2022. Siemiatkowski stood on the trading floor, watching the numbers climb. Consider the timing of what happened next. A company goes public. It raises billions. The CEO stands in front of cameras celebrating a successful IPO. The story being told to investors is, we cut costs, we embraced AI, we recovered. And then, within days of that IPO, the same CEO sits down and says the strategy didn't work. That is not a small contradiction. That is a company that spent years building a public narrative, AI efficiency, AI savings, AI is the future, and then walked it back the moment the stock had been sold. We went too far. 3 years of public declarations that AI could replace human workers. 3 years of headlines about 700 jobs eliminated. 3 years of being held up as the future of work. Gone in 3 words. Siemiatkowski admitted that Klarna's customer service quality had deteriorated. That the focus on efficiency had come at the cost of empathy. That customers needed to know, and feel, that a human being was available if they needed one. From a brand perspective, a company perspective, I just think it's so critical that you're clear to your customer that there will always be a human if you want, he said. The company announced it was rehiring. Not in the old model, full-time, benefits, career paths. The new plan looked more like Uber. Remote, on-demand, flexible schedule agents. Targeting students. Rural workers. Even existing Klarna customers who might want a part-time job. There are tons of Klarna users that are very passionate about our company and would enjoy working for us, Siemiatkowski said. The same people he had replaced. Now needed again. On his terms. Let's be precise about what that offer actually was. The original 700 roles that were cut in 2022 were full-time positions. Salary. Benefits. Job security. A career path inside one of Europe's most valuable companies. What Klarna was now offering was on-demand gig work. No guaranteed hours. No long-term commitment from the company. The kind of arrangement where the risk is entirely on the side of the worker. The framing was generous, flexible, empowering, accessible. But it was also the same playbook used by every platform that had ever replaced employees with contractors. Give people the work back. Keep the power. The people who had been let go in 2022 didn't get a dramatic reinstatement. They got a job posting. The headline said Klarna was hiring. The fine print said the terms had changed. The story of Klarna and its 700 employees isn't really about AI. It's about what companies tell themselves when they're cutting costs. The narrative was clean: AI is more efficient, more scalable, always available, never sick, never asks for a raise. Replace the humans and watch the margins improve. What the narrative left out: efficiency isn't the same as quality. Handling a conversation isn't the same as resolving a problem. And closing a ticket isn't the same as keeping a customer. Klarna's AI assistant handled 2.3 million conversations in its first month. It also alienated enough of those customers that the company's own CEO had to publicly admit the experiment had gone wrong, right after celebrating a $19 billion IPO. Klarna's spokesperson put it this way: AI gives us speed. Talent gives us empathy. Together, we can deliver service that's fast when it should be, and empathetic and personal when it needs to be. It's a good line. It would have been a better decision, made 2 years earlier. As of today, Klarna expects its workforce to continue shrinking, from 3,000 to around 2,500 over the next year. Not through new layoffs. Through attrition. The people who leave won't be replaced. The AI will handle it. And somewhere right now, a customer with a billing dispute is typing their problem into a chat window. Waiting for a response. Hoping, this time, that someone on the other side actually understands what they're going through. They probably won't. The AI will respond in under 2 minutes. The ticket will be closed. The resolution rate will go up. And the metric will look fine, right up until enough customers decide it doesn't matter how fast the response was, if the response didn't help. Here's the question worth sitting with. Klarna says they went too far. They're rehiring. They learned their lesson. But the workforce is still shrinking. The AI is still handling the majority of customer conversations. The people coming back are coming back on gig terms, not employment terms. So did Klarna actually change course? Or did they change the story? And if one of the most celebrated AI transformations in corporate history ended with the CEO saying we went too far, what does that say about every other company that's watching this, taking notes, and thinking they'll do it better? Because right now, there are hundreds of companies doing exactly what Klarna did. Cutting teams. Deploying AI. Writing press releases about efficiency. Waiting to see what the numbers say. Most of them haven't gotten to the part of the story where the CEO has to sit down and explain what went wrong. What happens when they do?